Uncle Rochas was once a little child. He went to school today, he's my governor. Brother Ima Okore was once a little child. He went to school today, he's my minister. And Tidara Kuyili was...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Abakwa FM radio station. We are sorry for that power failure. We are just going to continue in order that we don't get hit again. All right, you're welcome back, Mr. Asobo.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
All right, we were on the role communities and schools can play to ensure that the financial or the incentives to schools are well used, in order that the quality of education, is improved upon. You said something about publishing their financial, everything that has to do with their financial records, whatever, on their notice board. And I was tempted to ask you if, for instance, the financial incentive is to get, say, to get a packet of pen, a ball pen. We have a system in Cameroon where a pen is sold at 1,000 francs per pen. I don't know if you always take those things into consideration, or you make sure that those things are bought the way they are supposed to be bought in the market.
Like I said about the budget, you know, eBase is made up of people of different fields of life. And of course, they know what is required. If you put a budget and indicate on that budget that a pen is bought at 500 francs at the level of the primary schools, certainly there's a question mark there. That's why I earlier said the budgets are prepared and pasted on a notice board where everybody can have access to see. Of course, that gives room for the items that we see some fidgeting taking place, that we can be able to correct them before we see what we can proceed.
When it comes to construction, you hear that a bag of cement is 10,000 francs, whereas it's not like that. And I'm sure there are mechanisms put in place to check all these things.
Yeah, of course. That's why I earlier said we have supervisors who are on the field. For example, I am at eBase now as a supervisor, but actually I'm an accountant.
Let us take this caller, please. Hello, Dr. Tony.
Yeah, Mr. Raymond, it's a suggestion to your media house that for most of your guests that you received there, that has something to do with talking about technical topics like this one. When you are programming, you should tell them that they will certainly meet professionals who will call them and give them ideas. So when they are coming to
just go ahead and say what you're saying, Dr. Tony.
Yeah, they should reserve a certain chunk of money for professionals that will call in and give them technical advice. That's what they should do. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Asobo.
We have made it in this direction.
I wanted to find out from you, apart from the preparing the budget, pasting on a notice board, what other thing can the communities and the schools do to ensure that things go well?
Now we look at what we have there on the quality of learning and education, learning and teaching, using financial incentives.
Yeah.
We are sure that since we are concentrating on teaching, the teachers should be present in school. That's the first thing. They should be present in school. Being present and receiving the coaching that they're supposed to receive from the head teacher based on the materials that they're supposed to present to the people. And we have a daily sheet to evaluate the lessons that have been taught, because some people have this idea of just coming and playing around at their workplaces to tick present and say, yes, I was present, and you don't actually do the work. We have a daily sheet to evaluate what you were able to teach based on what is pedagogically accepted. What were you supposed to take within this period of January 2022 to February 2022, we find out if the material was highlighted, what percentage of that material was covered actually, effectively in the class by the teachers. And, when we do that, we also find out, because some teachers come to school, to classrooms, they teach, don't even go around to find out what the people are going through. Now, a good teacher should go around the class and find out, do the students or people have notebooks? Do they have pencils? Do they have pens? In order to be sure that what you want them to get, they have actually had it. At that moment now, you assess how you receive the people. What level of education do they have? After your evaluation, the head teacher is the immediate boss of the classroom teachers. And the person who also evaluates, or the supervisor of the head teachers, is the inspector of basic education. Because we work up to that level with them.
Okay. Just note down where you ended so that we take this caller. Hello?
Yeah, good morning, the studio.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Felix calling from Bengui.
Mr. Felix from Bengui.
Yes. I just want to appreciate your guest in the studio. The problem is that it is the problem of the implementation. When all these things are set on air like this, when you go to the field, it is the reverse that is being done. Because actually, the results of those who are taking salary 15,000 francs, 25,000 francs, for example, one of these our community school here, when you go there, it's 100% for community. But schools that you find government teachers who take 100 and something per month, they don't give better results. So I just think that all these NGOs should instead focus on those private institutions. Well, you have never heard about government school with 100%, even in the GCE or whatsoever, but only about, let me just say PSS or all these other Cali school and so on. When you see all of that on the top, and the teachers are not even paid well, but you see, that's why I'm saying that all that thing in government institutions, I don't think for me it is okay like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Felix. That was Mr. Felix from Bengui. Yes, Mr. Sobo.
Let me respond to the question that Mr. Felix brought up. When I said we include both the lay training, the lay private and the government schools, it was not like we have so much emphasis on the government schools. What we are doing presently is the pilot phase, meaning we are testing what we have to see if it now is successful, we scale up the project. We have so many divisions in the Northwest and Southwest region, but we have been able to choose two to start and test the project. If the project works well, then other divisions will be included. And to say that we just switch directly to lay private institutions would not have been the best. And it's good to also see what the government institutions are able to do and see what would be the improvement if they are encouraged with financial incentives.
Okay. All right. I want to believe that Mr. Felix, is it Felix? From Bengui, I want to believe that you are okay with that response. But if you're not okay with that response, you can always call back and ask more questions to get more. But he raised something very important, and this is something that many have raised, that when you go to government schools where the teachers are well paid, yet the outcome, the output is not that is not really that which people really appreciate. Rather, in private schools, this is where the teachers work day in and day out to see to it that the children are educated, yet they are not the ones that are benefiting. All the same, you have made us to understand that this is a pilot phase, and when we talk of pilot phase, it means that we cannot just bring everybody together.
It's true.
They are just testing to see if it can work, and if at the end of the day they are able to get a result that they are aiming at, then you actually see these community schools benefiting, and it's really going to go a long way to help the kids, especially those ones who are in community schools, because in most of these areas government schools don't really function. We have mostly community schools, lay private schools, and so on and so forth. All right, we thank you so much for your participation. You can always call 674-732580 658-522437. Yes, Mr. Sobo, we also like to find out from you I mean, we need to get more. You know, the collaboration. I mean, what schools and the communities can do to see into it that that quality teaching and learning is improved upon with the use of financial incentives. You've talked about preparing the budget and making it open so that everybody can see. I mean, and many others. Maybe you take it off from where you ended, because when the call came in, you had to stop somewhere. Maybe you take it off from there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Raymond. Look at what the caller just mentioned and talked of government schools who pay huge sums of salaries to their teachers, and yet the work is not actually done effectively. That is because in government institutions, there's a lot of laxity, laissez-faire. There's no strict follow-up to ensure that the work is properly done. But here, when eBase comes in, that is where we now also provide a supervisor who would follow up to be sure that the results that we were expecting to have are actually what we have been able to receive before we pay. In that light, that is where we now see that we follow up to see, are the teachers actually coming to school? Yes, they are in school. What are they doing while in school? Are they able to teach the children and give them the right information? If that is done, we evaluate it. And we pay only upon receiving the results that we were expecting from the teachers. And at this level now, it will stir up some people who were coming to school and just playing a hide and seek game to go to the classrooms and deliver, because they know that it's upon evaluation that we are going to pay them what they require. And now when we come to the other station of the community coming in to ensure that quality learning and teaching is achieved, of course, you can also find out that in some community schools where they already have some teachers, the administration of the school can say that we don't have the right quality of teachers for this particular subject. PTA will now come in and say, okay, if this is the situation, then we need an extra workforce. What budget do they have in hand? They take that budget now and employ somebody who comes in to do the work better. Even in government schools, PTA teachers are recruited. And if you want to observe, you discover that the PTA teachers who are recruited in government schools, in some government schools, do more work than the government pay teachers. This is because there's strict follow-up to ensure that what we are paying you for is what you are delivering to us. So PTAs can recruit PTA teachers now with the support of the financial incentives that they are receiving to ensure that the teachers are paid.
Okay. Well, what about on the part of the children? Is there anything that is being done to see into it to check if they are improving? Because it doesn't only end at the level of teachers coming, spending enough time. They can spend enough time, but they're not really doing what they are supposed to do. Because if they teach, and the results from the students are not the best, it means something is wrong somewhere.
That is very true, Mr. Raymond. Now, on the part of the people, like I said earlier, some may not want to come to school because they don't have pens, pencils, boards. In the case of primary schools that we are dealing with, eBase comes in to provide them with these basic ones. And when we provide it now through the schools, or sometimes we provide it directly to the children. Our supervisors identify the children who are in the community who cannot access education because of lack of these items. We support them in that direction. And of course, there are also some children who are in school or in the communities who cannot come to school because they don't have the dresses. Of course, we can give them the basic ones to use. How many dresses for a child?
Some don't even have food.
Some don't even have food. And in some cases now, we can say, okay, this is allocated for, if you give a child just gâteau for 50 francs, and the child knows that each day I come to school, I'll receive gâteau for 50 francs. That child may be encouraged to come to school. And when the child comes to school, it's not just coming to school, but coming to school, staying in school, and learning to educate yourself. Now, this is the route. When they come to school and they are able to stay, is the partner of the teacher to ensure that the people have the education. How do you do it? Give them assignments in school, go around and check their books,
homeworks.
Give them homeworks, come back the next day, try to find out what they did with their homeworks. That is the role of the teacher. And of course, you have to encourage the people, because some teachers too are funny. When the people gives you an answer, instead of just saying, okay, that is true, but you say the answer is correct, but if you had it this way, it would be good. If people give you an answer, you immediately say, sit down, we block it. You are discouraging that people from even attempting to answer further questions or doing other things. So the teachers have a lot. The people need to be encouraged with some small items so that they can be in school. And of course, the teachers have the bulk of the work to do.
But after giving the let's for instance, they don't have food, you give them food, pen, you give them pen, uniform, whether it's dresses, handboard, books. After providing all these things, if the parents can still not pay the fees, would you guys have done anything reasonable?
Now, one of the conditions, again, I come back, non-exclusion because of payment of tuition fees.
Okay.
Yes, it's not a condition. Like I said, we are in 2 divisions of Northwest and Southwest, and even in the 2 divisions, we are not taking all the schools since we are still testing.
Yeah.
In the 2 divisions we have just picked out a number of schools from Northwest in Boyo and a number from the Southwest in Mamfe to ensure that we test and see based on the available resources that we have. If we had much, we would have just gone to all the schools in the divisions. But because of the limited resources that we have, we want to test. And if the results are positive, of course, the funding organization now will see that we are doing a great job and scale up the project.
All right. Thank you so much. We just hope that actors in the Anglophone crisis too will allow this project to work. Because when there is no security, no matter how much you spend on the ground to improve on the quality of education, it is still going to hit the rocks. Because no parent would want to send his or her child out when there is insecurity, when the guns are popping. No teacher will risk going to school when the guns. I mean, all these things. I think the gun carriers too should allow kids be educated, because the parents have been impoverished by the war, and there are people who are coming in to support them. So I think it is very important that they give them that opportunity to have their kids educated. We are soon packing our bags out of the studios. We are still expecting our callers to call us on 674-732580, 658-522437. Somebody from Bengui, the caller from Bengui, said something about implementation.
Yeah.
That at times we talk on air is sweet, but implementing what we are actually talking about is always a problem. That is a cankerworm as far as the Cameroonian society or the Cameroon society is concerned.
Yeah, that is very true. You know,
okay, let us take this caller, please. Hello.
Hello, Ray.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Paul, on board.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. We are living in a time where education has been commercialized. 100% this year in O levels, 96%. But we can't really feel the quality of education or the impact on our children. The case where from five guy is unable to remove his birth certificate among 3. How are you going to go about it so that the quality of education can be improved upon on the life of our children? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Like I earlier mentioned, EBASE is coming in to improve on the quality of teaching and learning. And you have mentioned a situation where a Form 5 student cannot be able to sort out his birth certificate among 3. Of course, probably, you know, some schools have commercialized education, like it was earlier said, in that they feel like giving the public the impression that our children are performing so well will bring in a number of other children or people into the school. That is very true. But we cannot also count the fact that there are genuine results that have been released yearly. And with EBASE coming in, I still stress on the fact that performance-based financing is pay for performance, meaning we are paying for the performance. We also don't count the fact that there are slow learners and there are fast learners. You can have a class where there are 20 children or 20 students. You have 15 fast learners and 5 slow learners. As a teacher, you don't need to leave behind the slow learners and concentrate on the fast learners. You need to put more emphasis on the slow learners. And some of these situations that we find the students going out who are unable to read or identify is because the schools too have taken it upon themselves to have more than the required number of students in the class. And if a teacher is alone in a class of 50 something children, and has material to cover within a short period of time, of course it will be difficult for that teacher to do it. So we also plead now on the various schools to respect the number of children or students that are supposed to be in a class. Yeah. Of course, that will also ease lighten the work on the teachers so that they can be able to carry out their work effectively.
Okay, because we have schools where you go, kids sit on their benches. Some of them are writing on their laps.
Yes,
because you see like 6 children on a bench. And when we talk about those schools too in those areas, you realize that they do those things because they don't have the benches. Many of their benches have been burnt down. They have been roasted. So the few that they have, they are just managing. And I'm sure that eBase too can also, because we talk of learning, these are some of the things that I'm sure are taken into consideration.
Yeah, that's fine.
And eBase too will need to really work hard for people to really feel the impact, so that people don't keep complaining that they are not feeling the impact, which means that implementation too has a problem.
Of course, the schools that we have selected are already feeling the impact.
I wish I could get some of these schools and do some kind of a report about how all these things are happening, because as journalists too, we do a lot of follow-up. That's why at times when some people come and say what they are saying, no, we've done our own follow-up, and it doesn't really match with what they are saying, and so on. Well, we are packing our bags out of the studios. Maybe you give us your take-home message before we go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Raymond. The message I want to give to the listeners this day is this. First, be rest assured that every student needs to be educated. No matter the situation where we find ourselves, every student needs to be educated. So don't leave a child in the house because that child cannot be able to have a book, a pen, so that child cannot be able to have dresses to wear to school. Be rest assured that education is one of the fundamental rights of children as spelled out by the United Nations. So send your children to school. Do your own part as a parent. When the child comes back, do your own part like a parent to check on what the child learned within the day. Check the child's book. Follow up to see that the child does his or her homework. And then if there are any difficulties, we work together in gloves. Go to the school and report to the teachers what difficulties the child was able to face in doing the homework. Report to the administration what difficulties that the child is facing. Of course, if there are things that at our level as eBase will come in to support to be sure that the children are educated properly.
Thank you so much, and thank you so very much for that. No child should be left out as far as education is concerned. And if I'm to make a proposal here, a recommendation or a proposal or a suggestion, I will say that areas where we have a high concentration of Mororos should also be targeted.
That is true. We will take that into consideration.
Yes, because we've realized that even before this crisis, the Mororo community was not really, they were yet to really embrace education the way we would have loved to see them do. So we are just hoping that maybe with such ideas, if taken to these areas, the Mororo communities, I'm very sure that it's going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot. Because one, they also need to understand why kids should go to school. They also need to understand that there is no tradition that should keep children at home. Early marriages should not be encouraged. Rather than practicing early marriages, we should rather practice early education so that our children can actually go to school. Let us get this commercial break. When we come back, we are going to sign out.
Time now 11 o'clock for morning.
Una use orange money for take pay una orange bonus credit or for take pay una bill them and una fit share 1 million megabyte internet credit every day.
Orange.
You are listening to Alpha FM Radio, the station at your service.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are packing our bags out of the studio. So I was saying that the Mororo communities too should be targeted so that this project can also help them. And if this is done, and then in some years to come, we will not be talking about, we'll actually be celebrating Mororos who are in school. We appreciate those ones who've sent their kids to school. We appreciate those ones who've gone to school and they are now like ambassadors telling their fellow Mororos that there is nothing, we are gaining nothing keeping our kids at home. And now in this crisis, I'm not sure there is any gain keeping your child at home when others are learning. Mr. Asubo, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond, for being there for us.
All right. We want to say thank you so much to all those who tried reaching us. We are happy that you did your best. All those who called, thank you so very much. And thank you, Ezekiel Tozua, for giving us technical support. I have been Dingana Ramon, thanking you all for listening. Stay tuned.
Ima Okore was once a little child. He went to school today, he's my minister. And Dora Kuyili was once a little child. She went to school today, ambassador. I love to go to school, to learn to read and write. I love to go to school, I want to be a doctor. I love to go to school, to learn to read and write. I love to go to school, I want to be a lawyer. Education. Education is the key. Education. Education is the key. Education.